Hello everyone, Algelger the SideQuest Gamer here, and it's been a while since I made a video this week, so today I'd like to talk about the Zelda timeline. It is one of the most debated topics in gaming, and stole many hours worth of telephone conversations from my life, and now after beating A Link to the Past for the millionth time, I have to ask that does it really matter? Every game in the Legend of Zelda series, with the exception of few entries, promises a grand, self-contained adventure. For example, Majora's Mask is a sequel to Ocarina of Time, but because Majora's Mask has little to no relation to its predecessor other than graphics and stuff, new players could easily play Majora's Mask without playing Ocarina of Time first, because the story and adventure are all self-contained. Same can be said for Link's Awakening, which is a sequel to A Link to the Past. Sure, there's several references to A Link to the Past in Link's Awakening, like a few bosses such as Moldorm, and even a shadow that resemble Aghanim and Ganon, but because the story is so original and different, you didn't have to play A Link to the Past in order to play Link's Awakening, even though it's a chronological sequel. I didn't even know that Oracle of Seasons and Ages were interquels to A Link to the Past and Link's Awakening, unless you get the linked game ending, where Link sails off to no specified location, but that game was pretty self-contained and even had characters from other Zelda games that were not from the Hero of Legends timeline. But take a look at this timeline for yourself. Sure, fans were happy with it, but put different games in any order you want and it wouldn't make much of a difference. You want to know why? Because if the game is good, it's worth playing. If it's bad, it's not worth playing. So say that your favorite Zelda game was in your least favorite timeline. My friend Andy, for example, loves The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, but always says, too bad it's in the same timeline as Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks. And for those of you who don't know out there, Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks are two entries in the series for the DS that weren't that spectacular in a lot of Zelda fans' opinions, including mine. They're not bad games, but like I said in my Zelda Wii U delay video, I will not tolerate a mediocre Zelda game, and that's unfortunately what Spirit Tracks and Phantom Hourglass are, due to a lack of exploration and linearity. Which one is worse than the other is a common topic of debate, but they're both pretty mediocre. You see, The Legend of Zelda has always been a series of exploration and non-linearity, while incorporating some form of difficulty curve. Even if the story is linear, you can still do optional side quests like in Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess, such as hunting down heart containers to increase your maximum health levels, or going on fetch quests for people in exchange for currency or a more useful or powerful item, or even a heart container. So each Zelda game, like I said, it's self-contained, and a lot of things in the timeline don't make sense, like, wouldn't it make more sense to place Four Swords Adventures in the Fallen Hero timeline instead of the Child Era timeline? I mean, its art style is identical to A Link to the Past, and some of the locales look very similar. And in the prequel timeline, like the original Four Swords and even Skyward Sword, you encounter the creatures known as moblins that are basically evil anthropomorphic pigs like their master Ganon, but weren't they only like that as a result of the Dark World's transformations in A Link to the Past due to their leader Ganon looking like that? Ganon didn't even exist back then, so it can rather be confusing to Zelda veterans like me. So the Zelda timeline, in all honesty, seems to be cause more questions than actual answers, and in all honesty, if the game is mentioned being a chronological sequel, then it's a sequel, but make a timeline for The Legend of Zelda is rather silly because it would be like if they made a timeline for the Super Mario series. I mean, for Metroid, at least the timeline made actual sense, leaving a lot of room for interquels and sequels. But that's because Metroid has the same main character for every single game, whereas the Zelda series, there are multiple incarnations of Link. What is he, the Dalai Lama of Hyrule? But that's just my opinion on the timeline. Just do what Shigeru Miyamoto says. Play and enjoy the game as their own self-contained adventure, not as some overarching storyline. It's Zelda, not Metal Gear Solid. Thank you all for watching, but tell me, what is your opinion on the Zelda timeline? Feel free to disagree. In fact, I strongly encourage you to voice your opinion. Maybe I'm not looking at the positives of the timeline, but please tell me your thoughts in the comments section. I'd really love to hear from all of you. Again, thank you so much for watching, and remember to stay awesome.